we got some patch notes to look at. So let's go ahead and take a look at what amazing things Smilegate is bringing to us. Everybody's got me really hyped to look at this. Everybody's talking about what an insane patch it is, how this is going to change everything. And that was a lot of sarcasm. Not been reviewed very, very well. So let's jump in and see what is happening in the bounce patch notes for June the 5th. So 2 weeks from today, June the 5th, these patches go live. They are subject to change. They've changed them in the past, so I can't guarantee that this is the final form of the bounce patches. So if you decide to pull a unit or buy a unit or level a unit and then they change things, sucks. They're not going to give you a recall. Buyer beware. It's not set in stone until it is set in stone. Guys, before we get into this bounce patch, I just want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's stream, Raid Shadow Legends. I know, guys, I know. Give it a shot. We're hitting a big downtime in Epic 7. There's not a lot to do, and this game puts out more than my prom date didn't. There is always something going on. There's tournaments going on. By the way, first place, baby. Hell yeah. So jump in this game. There's tournaments, there's events, there's a brand new dungeon coming out with, where is it here? Dungeons. Look at all this content. Look at all these things to do. There's a brand new dungeon coming out, I think this weekend, with brand new heroes, brand new strategies. If you like puzzle solving and just not sitting here wondering if the game is ever going to change, if there's ever going to be a content, give it a shot and you will do me a big solid. People ask, how can they help support my channel? How can they help support me without actually spending money? Well, this is free, guys. Click the link in the description of this video. Give Raid a try. If you don't like it, you don't like it. You're not going to hurt my feelings, but I think a lot of you are going to be surprised and have some fun with it, especially in this quiet time. So support my channel, support me, give Raid a shot. Let's get back to that patch. Okay, so we've got bounce patch going live on June the 5th, and that means you've got 2 weeks to kind of absorb and decide whether or not these units are worth building or if this is a big old pass. Remember though that the shop where you can spend your galaxy coins to buy your Dragon King Shroon, to buy your Operator Sigrid, to buy your Spirit Eye Celine, that is going away soon, so you'll need to make a command decision on if any of these changes give you pause or if you go ahead and go all in on the units. Now, I will tell you, Spirit Eye Celine is a strong RTA and Guild War unit worth having on your account. Dragon King Shroon is a little bit more niche, not as good unless you are maining Robin. If you use Robin a lot, Dragon King Shroon stocks shoot through the roof, and she is really, really good. And Operator Sigrid, well, yeah, I don't see your name on this list, guys. I hate it. I hate it that I was right about this. I told you guys it was too soon, that they made Fallen Cecilia languish for months before they put her on the balance patch. And Operator Sigrid, we just haven't been asking long enough. All right, so the heroes on this bounce patch, we've got Desert Jewel Basar, Straze, nice. These two both very much needed. Holiday Yufine, interesting. Tywin, who's been buffed a couple of times now, I believe, and hasn't quite stuck with the community. Charles, hell yeah. Our posture's getting corrected again. I love seeing Charles. Fenris, so they did want to buff Fenris, but they buffed him in a lazy, crappy way to just be a silver bullet for Harsetti, and everyone hated it, so they rolled it back. Looks like they are going to try to buff Fenris again to be usable. General Purrgis and Assassin Catuja are the 4 stars. G-Purg used to be like a renaissance unit. You used him in Wyvern, you used him in anti-Zeotech and RTA, and he fell hard, like a meteoric fall. Assassin Catuja is an evasion bot, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with the Fat Cats. And they're buffing Indestructible Gaiters and Glo-Wings. Indestructible Gaiters is an interesting buff because this is a burn placing, and we're in a meta where burns work with frenzy, so maybe they're going to make this thing a viable artifact. It's tough because warriors have such good artifacts, and Glo-Wings, boy, that thing needed some help. So let's jump right in with Desert Jewel Basar. So we got a lot here on DJB. First is his Desert Wind ability. It used to recover health proportional to the target's max health and the caster's attack, and they're just changing it to the caster's health, which makes sense. Who in the frickin' world puts attack on Desert Jewel Basar? So, that's good, and they're reducing the soul burn from 20 to 10, so that's a pretty good heal boost, considering the soul burn is cheaper now. Not bad. A little something something for him. They're going to make him a stronger healer. Desert Storm used to have an 85% chance to blind for 2 turns, and now it dispels 2 buffs with a 100% chance to decrease combat race by 20%. Okay, so instead of just blinding the enemy, he's got a strip and a pushback. So on top of barrier inversion, you're going to strip buffs. Okay, I'm really glad they put before in there. I was looking for that. How bad would it be if he stripped the barrier and then there was nothing to invert? But yeah, they're inverting the barrier, and then he's going to strip 2 buffs on top of it, which really, if you think about it, barrier is usually a stackable buff, so it's kind of stripping 3 buffs because you're going to invert the barrier, making it go away, and then strip 2 more buffs. It's going to basically make him close to a full strip, and a 20% CR pushback is really nice. And Bastet's Roar. So Bastet's Roar, instead, a critical hit will grant 30% damage reduction to just if attacked. Oh, wow. So instead of a crit having a 30% reduction, they're just giving him a 30% reduction, which is going to help him versus, you know, all these pop damages, fixed damages, all these non-critting units that do tremendous damage. It's going to give him some built-in reduction. So they did pretty good by Desert, because Desert Jewel Basar, his biggest issues were he didn't have the stats to do what you need him to do. He wasn't fast enough. He wasn't tanky enough to survive. And they're making him tankier via damage reduction. They're actually turning him into somewhat of a decent Soul Weaver. They're giving him, I mean, who gives a rat's ass about blind anymore? They're giving him strips and combat readiness pushbacks. I think Desert Jewel Basar's buffs look pretty freaking solid. Oh, and they're changing him from a Sagittarius to a Taurus. I don't know that much about the differences in the signs. Who's a Taurus Soul Weaver? Give me an example of a Taurus Soul Weaver, because his stat line as a Sagittarius was always just not quite good enough. Ahmed? So that should make him faster. Okay, you know what? Pursue, it's a good change. Nice. Ahmed Moon Bunny. Okay. So 4 additional speed from being changed to a Taurus. Yeah, everything about this makes Desert Jewel Basar, and we're in a barrier spamming meta. And this guy's inversion, I think this is going to increase his usage. I think this is a successful balanced adjustment for Desert Jewel Basar. It doesn't make him broken, it doesn't make him meta bending, but it makes him very usable in the existing meta. I'm giving this buff a 10 out of 10. Good job on Desert Jewel Basar. Hey Joe, thank you for the raid, buddy. Let me give you a little shout out here. Thank you so much, man. I hope you had a really good stream. Welcome, Raiders. We were just talking about the bounce patch, which everyone was telling me this bounce patch is going to be terrible. That is a big old L, but Desert Jewel Basar looks like a really good W for him. It doesn't make him broken. It doesn't make him overpowered, but it makes him very usable in a barrier spamming meta. This is one of the best bounces I think I've seen in a long time. Okay, Straze, or as they say in Canada, Straze. Straze has fallen off a lot in PvP. He's still a PvE monster for hunts, but that's about it. So we are changing his S2 skill, Destructive Gaze, from just dispelling 2 buffs to dispelling all buffs. I'll be honest with you, I always kind of thought it was dispelled all buffs. But okay, so his S2 is more effective. He can do an AoE strip on his S2. That's going to help in somewhere, I'm sure, at some point in time. His big bang attack, Star Extinction. This is where he cuts the moons in half and kills everything. Penetrates the target with the highest max health by 30% when the caster's attack is greater than the target, blah, blah. Yeah, it's a whole freaking equation. They're just changing it to penetrates the highest health. I think this is kind of in line with the making the skills a little bit easier to read. They said, we can't figure out how to word this in a coherent way that's easy to understand, so we're just going to eliminate it and turn them into Watcher Shuri against the high, except it's not selectable. It's against the highest target. So what does this do? This is going to let you use his big nuke skill on high attack, high health units, and there's not many of those out there. There's not many of them at all. I mean, I guess if you want to use Straze into Fire Ravi, that'll do something. There are some PvE things where tuning Straze's order, like in A13, you want to always make sure Straze went last, because if Watcher went first, dropped the nuke, and it made the boss go berserk, it raised the boss's attack enough that Straze wouldn't get the full penetration. So I guess it kind of makes that a little bit easier, but I really don't think this was done for any functional reason. I think this is done because of the quality of life text change where they're trying to make the skills easier to read and understand. Because this doesn't do anything, really. I mean, it makes tuning your A13 one-shot slightly easier, and this is the most this is such a minor bump that I wouldn't even call it a buff. I would just call this like a cleanup of his text. It's easier to understand all buffs are gone. It's easier to understand he just penetrates highest health. So it's less reading. So I'm giving this one a 2 out of 10 because it does almost nothing other than make his skill set easier to understand. I think people who have Strays that use Strays are still going to use him the exact same way they always used it. It's not going to change his place or usability in the game at all. This is bad. This is not a good buff. It doesn't damage him. It doesn't make him, you know, if I said 1 out of 10, that would mean it objectively makes him worse. But this is, we're giving this a 2 out of 10 just because it does absolutely nothing but make it easier to read his kit. And that's it for the MLs, guys. Yikers. Holiday Yufine. What are they doing to thick bathing suit dragon lady? So she has a 75% chance to burn on her S1 skill. Just one bite. They're changing it to a 100% chance, so they're stabilizing her burns. She will now always burn with her S1 skill, which is an AoE, by the way, so that's a lot of burns. So more consistency. Great. Let's eat together. So this is her passive skill. And in the past, it was whenever she was at max health, it gave her 35% evasion. Looks like they're changing it to when her health is 50% above, she gets the evasion. So, okay, so she's got a little bit more evade, right? Even when she used to just have to nick her, even 1 health of damage, and she lost her evasion. Now she'll maintain her evasion through 50%, so I don't know why they didn't just say, just give her evasion. I don't know why they had to tie it. I don't know, I guess. So she'll be 70% evasion for the first half of her health, and then only 35% evasion for the second half of her health. But I don't know why not just make her 70% evasion? Why not just pull the trigger? But I guess they're easing into the pool slowly with her. I'm not sure that having evasion while she is healthy is going to make that much of a difference. Okay, Yufine special, her S3 skill, after it's awakened, she is going from a 20% combat readiness to all allies to a 25% combat race to all allies. Okay, she's better. Everything about it's better. Her burns are more consistent. She's got evasion. She's got sustainable evasion for the majority of her health instead of a minority of it. And her CR push is a little bit better. It makes her a better anti-cleave unit, right? The problem with this right here, with using her in anti-cleave, is if the person had 2 openers or an opener and a bridge, the first opener even just nicks her for 1 HP. Suddenly her evasion's gone. It's easier to deal with. Now she's going to evade more, make her a little bit harder to deal with, make her a little bit better anti-cleave unit, counter-cleave unit. The 5% CR push, I know it doesn't feel like much, but 5% is 5%. That's, you know, how many times did you just not cut by 2, 3, 4, 5% difference. It'll factor in, and having stable burns in a meta where we've got units that are detonating burns heading our way, I think this could make her functional and usable with Robin as well. But it's not super exciting. She's still going to be used in the same place as she was used. Yeah, good point, Kyle. 5% is almost a 10 speed difference when you're talking about a battle of openers. So it's going to make her a better counter cleave unit. It's going to give her some synergy with Robin. It's not going to make her unstoppable or broken. I'm going to give this one like a 5 out of 10. I do think it's going to increase her usability. I'm just not sure if it's going to increase her usability enough where it's going to make people who weren't using her in the past start using her. It's just going to make her better in the role she's already good at, and that's fine. That's a decent balance adjustment, but it's nothing that I'm getting super excited about. It's a 5 out of 10 patch. It makes her objectively better, but it doesn't make her so good that people who didn't have her built are going to run out and start building her to test her out on test day. This isn't a unit you're going to see used on test day. It's one who's going to be used in the same place she was always used. Okay, what else we got? Tywin. Oh my god. Tell me he has a S3 has a 100% hit rate. It penetrates evasion, because every time he shouts, I will never miss, and then misses, lose my damn mind. Attacks with Sword Storm. 75% chance to dispel one buff. We're getting rid of that and changing it to a 50% chance to increase a 2-turn defense break. So we're getting rid of his 1-turn debuff and replacing it with a 75% defense break. Hey, Phil Officer, thank you for the sub, buddy. I appreciate the support, man. Thank you so much. So attacks with Storm Sword, 75% chance to dispel one buff going away. So his S1 is no longer going to strip. We're giving him a 50-50 shot at doing a 2-turn defense break. You remember back when every single unit's S1 wasn't a defense break? That was fun. I'm not a fan of everything that throws an S1 defense breaking anymore, but it does give him a stronger S1, even though it's a 50-50 chance. Defense break is the strongest debuff in the game. Tactical command, so can shout and be activated every 2 turns. We're reducing the skill cooldown on tactical command, so he'll be able to use his passive more often. That's it, right? We just gave him a faster cycle on his passive and a defense break on his S1. I mean, it's okay. It's gonna make him a little bit more usable, but I don't see this changing where he's being used. Yeah, it's a 2-turn defense break, but it's a 2-turn defense break. It's only a 50-50 shot. You can't really rely on it. Most 5-star, hell, 4-star units have a 75% chance to defense break. I'm kind of confused why it's only 50. Oh, wait. Exclusive equipment is being changed. Okay, so it's a 65% defense break. Okay, so he's got a 65% defense break on his S1 skill, and his shout command can be used more often. That's actually not bad. 65. I will take a 65% break over a 75% chance to dispel one buff. Let's be real. This is an improvement. So it's going to make him a better support unit. He's still going to be able to use his commanding shout, dispelling all debuffs from the ally in the back. I just don't know if it's enough to make people want to grab him and use him more often. It's definitely going to make him better, but I don't know if it's going to change his usability. Let's move down to... Oh, here he is, guys. This is the one we've been waiting for. Correct your posture. Charles, the one-time terror of RTA. The one that some of us still have, like, a little bit of PTSD. I gotta sit up straight every time we talk about Charles, man. It's like, my posture's fine. Just calm the hell down, Charles. He went from a 60% chance. First, before we get into this, the big problem with Charles is he's a bruiser and he's an attack scaler, and that sucks. Attack-based bruisers don't work. The only way you can have an attack-based bruiser work in this game is if they have got some kind of major survivability gimmick. Ravi heals herself every time she attacks something. Violet is got tons of evasion and heals when he uses his S2. You know, there's always something that gives, or they have damage limit on them so that you can't kill them too quickly. There's always something about it. Otherwise, attack-based bruisers universally suck, and that is the fundamental reason why I hate seeing attack and HP on substats. They go together like pizza and eggnog. It's just not a good mix. So hopefully they made Charles into an HP or defense scaler. So before, he attacked with a giant sword, has a 60% chance to decrease attack for 1 turn, and a 25% chance to activate smash as an extra attack, and it's double, so it's a 50% chance when the enemy is buffed. They have changed it to as a 75% chance to dispel 1 buff. So they're getting rid of his attack down and replacing it with a strip, a 75% chance to strip. After attacking, has a 50% chance to activate smash, and when the caster has 3 or more buffs. Not when the target. I'm used to it when the enemy was buffed, but it's when the caster. Okay, so he strips, and as long as he's wearing 3 or more buffs, it's a guaranteed to go into smash. So you've got to make sure you keep buffs on this guy. So if you're running on a buff-heavy team, you'll be able to slam Charles through with lots of extra damage. Okay, and that'll take him into Smash, and they're changing Smash that with a 100% chance to dispel all buffs. Damage dealt increases proportional to the number of buffs granted on the caster. They're changing it to, okay, they're giving him some lifesteal, and they're CR pushing, so they're not increasing the damage. So they have actually fundamentally decreased his damage, because I don't see anything that says damage dealt increases, so they've decreased the damage of this skill. But they're letting some of it go in as health and CR push. With more CR push here, so 15, 20% CR push, which is huge. So 20% CR push to your team, self-healing, and a nerf to the damage. Because we're getting rid of the damage dealt increases. And he doesn't dispel all debuffs anymore. He just has a chance to dispel 1. So they've nerfed the shit out of Smash, right? I mean, they've gotten rid of the strip, they've gotten rid of a lot of the damage, and in exchange, you get some push and some self-healing. They're making him not a damage dealer anymore, huh? What's his S3 do? Attacks all enemies, grants counterattack. Why, if they're not going to make him a damage dealer anymore, if they're going to make him a support unit, then why are they giving him a counterattack buff? Well, I guess the counterattack buff, does this only happen on his turn after attacking? Doesn't say on his turn. So if he counters, he will attack into Smash with the CR push. And he grants defense to all allies. Okay, so he attack buffs the team, he defense buffs the team, he establishes counterattack, and then when he receives a counter, he's going to do this, and the counterattack buff is just 1 additional buff. As long as you can maintain 3 or more buffs on him, he will always counter into Smash, which is going to constantly push your team. Guys, I think it's not going to be the easiest thing to use, but I think you might be able to work this guy into a standard draft where he is going to really have to make your enemy consider whether or not they push buttons and whether or not they can keep him stripped. Because if you can keep the buffs on him, he's going to constantly slash into Smash, pushing your team, getting counterattack buffs, attack buffing your team, defense buffing your team. Charles is no longer a damage dealing knight, guys. Charles is now a team support knight. He is a support, passively bridging unit to help move your team along, give you defense buffs, gives you attack buffs. There's a couple issues with all of this. First of all, nowhere in here is he an HP scaler. So along with his nerf damage, you might just have to give up on doing damage with Charles at all, because you need for him to be able to survive, take hits, to activate the counterattack, to push your team. You're going to have to make sure he does all of this stuff and survives while doing it. So you're probably going to have to strip away a lot of his damage. You probably have to get rid of crit chance, crit damage, and HP, because you're going to need him to have the bulk to survive, the speed to cycle these skills, and he's going to need ER so that he doesn't get stripped, because you got to have the buffs. This is going to be a very gear-hungry unit if you want to do any kind of damage. Yeah, protection set, sure. Protection set, immunity set, and then his counter buff, and then somebody else to keep some things on him. This is not your grandfather's Charles. This is a totally different unit, and the way he plays is going to be very different. And I think some chefs out there will be able to cook up some use for him once people wrap their brains around the fact that they have made him into not a damage dealer. They have made him into a unit that you're going to want. I mean, if you wanted to do damage with him, you would need every freaking stat in the game. Makes him 2 gear hungry. The gear score's too high. You're going to want him on effectiveness so that you can successfully do the strip. You're going to want to have him on effect resistance so he can successfully maintain the buffs. You're going to want him on HP and defense heavily so that he can survive. Probably more defense than HP because he is buffing his own defense, and that will stack with the defense. And also he is self-healing, and healing based on damage scales better off defense. But if you don't have damage on them, you're not going to do a lot of damage. With this skill being nerfed, oh my god, it's so hard to do. So hard to do. This healing is going to be a little drop in the bucket unless you build him with damage, and if you build him with damage, he's going to be 2 glass. So close. They were touching greatness there for a minute, but I don't see it, guys. Somebody who really, really invests in this, maybe, and it all comes back to Mort still exists. So counterattack is rough to use. Man, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10 because I think the right kind of gear and the right kind of motivated person can maybe make some things happen with this. Can maybe like take it to the next level, but I think the gear this is going to take is tremendous, and this team synergy it's going to require is rough, and I hate that they nerfed his damage. Where's the little thing here that just says damage is increased to make up for the fact that they're taking damage away? I guess they're saying, well, it's going to proc so often now that you get this that we had to nerf the damage because it's going to proc more often, which is a BS answer. I'm not thrilled with what they have done to Charles here. I think they did not do the old man justice. These buffs, I don't think, go far enough, but maybe I'm wrong. We'll see how he performs on test day. Improved to make a more strategic use. I mean, that's true. Everything about this is building a team around him and around his skills. And they're changing some exclusive equipments. Increases the dispel buff by 75%, so we go to 100% chance to dispel a buff. Still a single strip, and increases damage dealt by smash. If you are going to go with the just the support version and say screw the self-healing, I don't care, I want to build them so I can use them to support my team, you go with the strip, and you build them effectiveness, effect resistance, HP, and defense, and nothing else. If you want to try to squeeze crit chance, crit damage, and attack into all of that, which is basically every single stat on the board. Fenris, okay, Mr. Harsetti counter, then back to the pits with you. What did they do to Fenris? So, when it's the caster's turn, he gains 25 fighting spirit to just gains 25 fighting spirit. So, if you use magic arrow, he gets fighting spirit even when it's not his turn. So, dual attacks, counter attacks. Anybody building the counter set Fenris? Are they trying to convince us to put counter set on Fenris to stack his fighting spirit? I guess, yeah, Kitty Clarissa, right? Running him with dual attacking units like Camilla and Kitty and C Polly. Sure. Going from dispelling 1 debuff to dispelling 2 debuffs. Great. And Strike of Fate, his Big Bang attack. Increases the combat radius of all allies by 30%. So they're still trying to make him a Harsetti counter, huh? After he suffers an extra attack, counterattack, dual attack, gains 50 fighting spirit. He's going to gain 25 spirit when he counterattacks. Yeah, what if Harsetti puts a counter block on him, though? I don't know, guys. Am I missing something? Because I really feel like this does almost as much nothing as this does, or as this does. Where did it go? Yeah, as this does. It does almost as much nothing as Straze's buff does. Maybe some people will cook up ways to use this, to use Fenris, but I don't think anybody's going to dust Elf Boy off the shelf to use with these changes. I feel like this is a direct attempt to work around Harsetti, but I'm not seeing how using counter or this additional fighting spirit gain on off attacks is really going to fix that problem. What are they saying? Fenris will be improved to perform more efficiently in situations where allies are frequently suffering extra attacks, counterattacks, dual attacks. Soaring Arrow of Wave will now spell 2 buffs. Additionally, Fate will combat race of all allies, help secure turns more easily. But if he's dead, you don't get that. And he's just going to die. 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10 for Fenris. Unless I'm missing something big time, 2 out of 10. Okay, G-Purrg, what did they do for you? Mows down the enemy with a great sword, 75% chance to provoke, going to a 100% chance to provoke. So, okay, great. We got a 100% chance to provoke on his kit now. And, command to charge, dealing damage, 100% chance to stun 2 random allies for 1 turn, has a 100% chance to inflict stun. Okay, so his command to charge is AoE, used to only stun up to 2 allies, now it has got a chance to stun everybody. So an AoE stun on his command to charge. Is that it? So he can provoke and stun more? But wait, there's more. Exclusive equipment. So they're getting rid of the moment the caster attack has a 20% chance to increase defense for 2 turns. They're changing that to recovers the health of the caster proportional to the max health when using heroic strike. Recovers the health of the caster proportional to his own max health when using heroic strike. Okay, so a little bit of self-sustain on him. We going with counter Purrgis too? Is that the play? Are we doing counter general Purrgis? Okay, so we give him some self-healing so that you could run him on counter set. Mort is still a thing, but, you know, we can't always just say Mort's a thing. Mort's always going to be a thing. He is a warrior, so he has access to Sigurd's Scythe and Golden Rose on top of being able to self-heal with Heroic Strike, and he provokes with an AoE stun. This could make him a reliable counter cleave unit again. People try to do something that's AoE based, and he'll counter and self-heal, pushing up the team. And the AoE stun is really nice for control when he takes a turn. Yeah, you know what? I'm actually pretty okay with this. It's not meta breaking. I do think it'll help him find some places. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 on Purrg. He will be good for counter cleave, and you might be able to work him into some standard comps here and there, especially control based. Assassin Catuja, the Fat Cat. Fat Cat has a 75% chance to provoke, and much like Purrgis, the Fat Cat is getting a 100% chance to provoke. And he is being turned into an HP scaler. All of his damage is HP scaling. So why? Fat Cat took Charles's buff. It took Charles's buff. All they needed to do was give Charles this line right here. Or even Defense Scaler. Defense Scaler would be even better on Charles since he buffs his defense now. Okay, so this is actually pretty nasty. Here, check out my Fat Cat, guys. My Fat Cat is on like crappy loner gear, and he still has 23,000 health. Can drop the attack even more, pump that up to 30k health. We'll have to see what his multipliers are, but you can run a freaking thick Fat Cat on protection set, get the evasion from him, get the boost from health from him, or the boost from being an HP scaler on him, having his HP run all the way up, and have the evasion naturally on there, have the provoke on there, and the whole host of warrior artifacts, including one that stuns. This annoying SOB is probably is going to give cleavers yet again more of a pain in the butt. And it might be just enough. If they make him good, if they make him usable, it might be just enough to bring evasion-based units back into play. Remnant Violet, Holiday Yufine. It might have enough of a little something that, although it doesn't look like that much on paper, it might bring other people back into the game. So good buff, because it's the first buff that's made me think, how could this be used with other units? How could this be used to create new teams and new synergies and some comps that I didn't use before? 9 out of 10 buff for Assassin Catuja. It doesn't make him broken. It doesn't make him mind-bendingly insane, but it does make him very usable, and it gives you a chance to build some new teams around it. So it's got potential. It's got some legs. So let's see how it does. See how it goes. So yeah, I'm about it. I like Fat Cat's buff. Okay, artifacts. Indestructible Gaiters. If a non-critical hit is made while attacking with a single attack, and they're just getting rid of the phrase with a single attack. Is this for Holiday Yufine? Right? This is for Holiday Yufine, so her AoEs can burns as well. But wait, it's still if it's a non-critical hit. There's nothing up here that said she doesn't crit, right? Dual attack, combat ready. Now, how are you gonna not crit with Holiday Yufine? Even if you build her with no crit, she's gonna crit 15% of the time. Just don't crit. Yeah, just don't crit. Stupid. Why? What's the point? Smilegate, what is the point of having this phrase in here? Would it have broken the artifact so much? Would suddenly warriors being able to put one burn on things with AoEs been a problem? If you said it works on crits too? This is dumb. This is dumb and I hate it. So Indestructible Gaiters now works AoE, and if you can manage to build a Holiday Yufine with no crit at all, it'll work 85% of the time. Yay, 15% in PvP. We love it. I'm not sure that this is worth it for her, unless maybe it's to help out with maybe it'll help out with Rift, right? Maybe it's just a buff to make Rift easier. But the fact that they left this in here makes it a 1 out of 10 buff. And I know, I'm breaking my own rules. It does make it objectively better, and when I say 1 out of 10, it should make it worse, but I'm still going to give it a 1 out of 10 because it's stupid. And Smilegate, stop being stupid. This is stupid. You're better than that. Don't do stupid stuff. This needed to go away. I can think of no unit in the game that suddenly becomes unhinged and broken because you added a burn to its kit when it AoEs. Especially warriors. Smilegate's calling me now because I called him stupid. Hang on a second, guys. I've been instructed to apologize for calling Smilegate stupid. They know exactly what they're doing, and the fact that I cannot see the brilliance behind their genius move on this buff is all my fault, not Smilegate's fault. So be excited about Indestructible Gaiters when it appears in the powder shop. Make sure you buy a powder pack and buy this artifact because it's insane. Moving on, Glo-Wings. After using a non-attack skill, grants barrier equal to 10 to 20% of the caster's max health for 2 turns, and they're changing it to granting a barrier equal to 30 to 60 per level to all allies. So 60 per level. Your max level is 60, so a 3,600 health barrier. It's not a very big barrier, right? 3,600 health. How much is 20% of the max health? You would have to be 18,000 health to have a 3,600 HP barrier. This seems to be like, yeah, it's like for low HP rangers who want a barrier. Low HP rangers who want a barrier that also use a non-attack skill. If you're 18k HP, this is a push. It does nothing. But if you're lower than 18k HP, this is better, although it's 3,600, period, end of story. If you're over 18k HP, then this is a nerf. Who would use this, guys? Who would use this artifact in general? Hellion Lua has way more than 18k health. Sea Phantom Poly, most Sea Phantom Polys have over 18k health. Most. Not all, but most. Blue Flan. For all the nuns of people that still use Blue Flan. For all the nuns of people that use Blue Lua. Like, you guys keep using these words like they're real units. Leica, Lua, Flan. You say real words. Say real words. Stop making up words and pretending they're units. Furious. Okay, I'm done. Oh my god. So these bounces are scheduled to hit on the 5th, guys. We'll closely monitor feedback from our players on various channels. We're great. Remember, guys, say your piece. They have changed things before, and they can change them again. I strongly recommend anybody who is planning on building, buying, or upgrading based on this to be aware that they can have and will change things last minute, and that doesn't mean they owe you anything. So be careful that you invest heavily before it's actually in game. So, Desert Jewel Basar is the big winner of the bounce patch. I think it does make him significantly usable. Straze is a sideways push that just makes his kit a little easier to understand, but does nothing for him in the game. Holiday Yufine, I don't know why they can't just give her the evasion and let her be a functional bruiser unit, but it does make her a little bit better. Some people are saying that her change is just for Rift. I guess we'll have to see on that. Tywin does seem to be objectively an improvement for Tywin. I'm not sure if it's enough to change his utilization. I think people that already lean heavily on and use Tywin a lot will be happy for the change because it does cycle him faster. Getting a defense break is nice. Charles is the wild card here. His buff looks to me like they're trying to make him not be a damage dealer anymore. They're trying to say, just skip attack, skip crit chance, skip crit damage, ignore the fact that he does a little bit of healing, and build him as a support unit, as a passive bridge, get counter set on him and use him to constantly move your team, buff your team, strip the enemy, all of those things. Build him effectiveness, effect resistance, HP, defense, and then just use him as a cornerstone to run your team over. I think if you do that, he's going to find a place, but anybody that wants to try to build this guy for damage is going to find that his kit does so much that it does nothing, right? It's jack of all trades, master of none in every sense of the word. He's just going to be too hard to build and use in any meaningful way like we used to use him. Fenris, I don't understand Fenris's change. It looks like an attempt to make him a Harseti counter, but it's a, I guess they didn't want to draw too much attention to that. I don't really feel that Fenris is going to see any change whatsoever in the game. General Purrgis's buffs look decent for anti-cleave. I'm not going to lie. 100% chance to stun. The self-healing on his S1, the 100% chance to provoke. I think we're going to see General Purrgis being used a lot more in anti-cleave. So once again, cleavers take one to the chin. And the same with Assassin Catuja. He is going to allow people to maybe run more evasion units and get the benefit out of him because now he's an HP scaler, so you can stack HP and actually do some damage with the Fat Cat, having 100% chance to provoke with the Fat Cat. So yeah, high HP damage dealing Fat Cats on protection set or even destruction set might make an appearance. So the 4 stars, they did okay on the 4 stars. Indestructible Gaiters is a edit this part out later, is a stupid thing, and Smogate should be embarrassed for doing such a stupid buff. Why not just let it work on crits? Stupid. Maybe it'll have some use in the up-and-coming Rift, but I don't think it's going to change that much. I hate that you have to make sure you don't build her crit. You have to strip all of her crit away to use this artifact to use her in conjunction with Robin. And Glo-Wings is a really good artifact for the future ranger who's not released yet, that needs barriers,